G'day, my name's Clint Paddison, and it's a real honour to present at the World Healthcare Forum. And unfortunately I can't be there in person, but I thought, why not make this a little bit interesting? And I'm going to take you on a walk with me right now and share with you my journey with overcoming a crippling disease called rheumatoid arthritis, and how the lessons and discoveries that I have made have now helped tens of thousands of people around the world with this disease, and also challenge existing treatment protocols of rheumatoid arthritis. So let's go. So my story with rheumatoid arthritis began in 2006. 10 years ago, I woke up with sore feet and developed into sore fingers, and I went to the general practitioner and he ran some blood tests and he told me that I had rheumatoid arthritis. I'd never heard of it, and he said it's a terrible disease similar to multiple sclerosis, but with rheumatoid, the body attacks the joints. And he said, it's about trying to manage this disease over the long term. You'll be on medications for the rest of your life. And he said, in fact, of all the diseases he would not want to get, that would be at the top of his list. I'm like, whoa, thanks for being such a motivational speaker. So I went to the rheumatologist and he wanted to put me on methotrexate, which is a cancer drug. And I thought, wow, you know, this is heavy treatment. And I said to him, look, I've never been sick in any other way. I've never broken a bone. I'm actually a cross-country champion. I said, maybe I can sort of do well without the drug. And so for 12 months, I tried to go drug-free. And unfortunately, at the end of that 12 months, even after visiting every naturopath, every homeopath, every Chinese herbalist, and pretty much anyone I could find who was offering a solution, I was in a crippling state. I had pain in my jaw and my chest and my fingers and wrists and everywhere. It was really, really bad situation. So I said to him, I better get on that methotrexate. So he gave me the drug, and even the drug wasn't able to keep my condition at bay. And after about 6 months of being on the drug, I was still in severe pain. My fingers were blown out really bad. I had to have a complete synovectomy on my left elbow, which is major surgery, in the hospital overnight. And the recovery for that was 6 weeks, 10 hours a day on a passive continuous motion machine. And yet the worst of all was actually my knee. Oh my God, that's hurting. All right. So, got my knee out like this, and just try and stand up, and maybe make my way over. This is how I'm walking, which is not really much of a walk, and here we are let's have a look here. Oh, look at that. Big swollen boy there on the left-hand side. So the drugs kept going up, and I got to the maximum dose of methotrexate, and the doctor said I'd have to switch drugs and go on to more severe drugs, none of which enabled me to start a family, which at one point I was desperate to do. And so I hit a turning point, and I said, I've got to do anything in my power on planet Earth to try and get out of this living nightmare. And so I thought about what I'd achieved at university. I was actually a laser physicist at university. I studied Bachelor of Technology and focused on fiber optics and lasers, and I got the highest thesis grade that was ever issued in the Department of Maths, Physics, Computing, Electronics at my university. So I thought, I used to be a researcher, I used to be a smart guy. Why don't I apply myself to this problem of rheumatoid arthritis? Because I'd had digestive issues in the past, I started by looking at the relationship between the gut and RA. And then I had a discovery which changed my life. I found through food poisoning with some unwashed cherries that I ate, that by purging my body with vomiting and diarrhea for 24 hours, all the pain in my body disappeared. And this was like an epiphany, because I then began to study folks with rheumatoid arthritis and fasting, and found that the studies had shown that everyone with rheumatoid, if they stop eating, they get rid of all the pain. And so I then had to think, well, how can I eat in a way that gives me that pain relief without having to vomit and diarrhea for the rest of my life? Well, as it turned out for me, that was a raw food diet, which I followed for 8 months. So that I got most of my calories from soaked almonds and soaked macadamia nuts and soaked pumpkin seeds and fruits and vegetables and lots of leafy greens. And after doing that for 8 months, and then another 1.5 years of low-fat plant-based foods, I was able to get off all my drugs and I was able to get rid of all the inflammation in my body. I became an ambassador for Arthritis New South Wales. I was published in a national newspaper. I wrote for Arthritis magazine. I gave health talks. I've since given health talks all around the country, and I was even able to run again for the first time in half a decade. And also gave a TEDx talk about the relationship between rheumatoid arthritis and the digestive system. When I was first diagnosed, my C-reactive protein was over 50 milligram per litre, and now I maintain C-reactive protein levels of below 1 milligram per litre. So what on earth is going on here? How is this transformation possible? Well, the studies show that people with rheumatoid arthritis have an intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and the degree of bacterial overgrowth is actually directly proportional to the amount of disease symptoms. They also have a condition called leaky gut or intestinal permeability. And what's happening there is that particles are leaking into the bloodstream, and when undigested proteins are leaking in the bloodstream, the body can create antibodies towards undigested proteins. And this is dangerous because then molecular mimicry can create where the body actually starts to see those same or similar proteins inside the tissues of our own flesh, such as the lining of our joints, and then actually attack our joints. People with RA also have low stomach acid, meaning more undigested proteins are getting into their digestive system and potentially into their bloodstream, aggravating the condition even further. They also have a state of chronic acidosis. The synovial fluid of people with RA is much more acidic than the synovial fluid of, say, people with osteoarthritis. And people with RA have been shown to have very little mucosal lining, the protective mucus that separates what's inside you from getting into your blood. In fact, some people with RA have been shown to not even have an epithelium. And then finally, people with RA have low digestive enzymes, the little scissors that are there to help break down those foods into small, harmless particles. All this adds up to a chronic digestive disorder, which is the underlying cause of rheumatoid arthritis. So what's going wrong on the inside? Well, the Western diet, with all of its processed foods and too much dietary fat, which aggravates leaky gut, and not enough plant fiber, which actually feeds the healthy bacteria. In addition, many of the drugs that are given to people with RA, like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and prednisone and antibiotics, all wreak havoc on the digestive system, which is the area that we want to heal. But the gut and consequently the joints can be dramatically improved with the right approach, like I've seen over the years with the Paddison program that I have created, which is an elimination process that walks people through a way of restoring gut health. And so my vision for the future is for one day every rheumatologist office around the world has a copy of the Paddison program on their shelf, and their first conversation with a patient that walks in and has rheumatoid arthritis is, what does your diet look like? Because the day that we start treating a chronic digestive disorder as a chronic digestive disorder, then we're going to not only save billions of subsidized medical costs around the world in every country that subsidize their medications, but we're also going to have a tremendously improved patient outcome, and therefore they will have a better quality of life. Just like me, because by being able to heal my gut, I have now been able to have two gorgeous girls, and they are the most cherished and most loved, most adored little girls on the planet, but they won't be getting ice cream. So thank you so much for watching this presentation, and I look forward to hearing from you if you'd like to be in contact. My email address, info@paddisonprogram.com.